Well, let's get our guest on now then and find out if he's on his way to taking the French citizenship test in a few years' time. Pose All Black number 8, Luke Whitelock joins us. How are you?
Good, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. And we'll get onto the rugby in a minute, but we've just been doing a mock French citizenship test with Johnny and Benji. So can you see yourself staying long enough to be doing that in a few years' time?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, anything's possible. But yeah, just still trying to grasp the language at this stage. So it's been proving pretty very difficult.
How have you settled in generally, mate? Because obviously you've come to France. I'm a good mate of your brother Adam. I played with him at Bayonne. How have you settled in? It's been a crazy couple of years with COVID. Obviously, probably not what you thought you were signing up for, but how have you managed to settle in? You enjoying life in Po? How's it going with the family?
Yeah, overall we are enjoying it. Po's a great place in the southwest, but as you did allude to, it's been a crazy time with what's going on around the world. To uproots from New Zealand and come the other side of the world, and I think we're here 3 months, and yeah, we're straight into that lockdown. So it's been a little bit different to the normal experience, but we're happy where we are and enjoying the French life. But obviously, we're still also hoping that things will come back to some sort of normality and get people back in the stands and enjoy some of those other things that we probably took for granted when we first came.
I must say, I spoke to a lot of some Kiwis and stuff, and when you see the videos from back home where you guys were all living completely normal almost, it must be a heartbreaker, right? Because you know that potentially 2 flights away you can go home and you don't know. And I know a lot of guys who went and basically couldn't come back. And that's my question. Did you ever think of going back? Because long story short, in October, I came down to Po to commentate Po Worcester in Challenge Cup. And it was the week where the coaches got sacked. And I was speaking to Paul Tito, who was telling me that horrendous story, poor thing. He basically doing the comparison of Conrad Smith, who went back to NZ, to go and enjoy his family. And he sent his family before him. And the week that he's about to embark on the plane and he's done all the lineouts and all that, and he's about to go, the president sacks the coaches. He becomes head coach. And so he's not allowed to go anymore because he's no longer a lineout coach, that can leave for 3 weeks. He becomes head coach. So he was obviously chuffed to be head coach, don't get me wrong, but still it's a proper heartbreak.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of probably many stories of different things. You really feel for guys with that example. Paul's got his family at home back in New Zealand, living a more or less normal life with restaurants, everything open, and that'd be pretty breaking for him, obviously, probably being really excited to leave. And then, yeah, there's been a few changes around and his role looked pretty different the following week. So, yeah, I mean, that's just an example of COVID-19. And, yeah, it's been a bit of a bugger in a lot of ways.
And apart from COVID, what are the main cultural differences between New Zealand and France, both rugby and not rugby? Because we often talk about the differences in coaching, the differences in lifestyle, but from a first-hand experience, how have you found it, and what are the main differences?
With the footy, I mean, it's different. It's taken me a little bit of time to sort of get used to the footy, and it is a little bit different to Super Rugby. Obviously, the length of the season's probably one of the first things people talk about. And I think at home, generally, the players probably have quite a lot of structure around them. And the players probably have quite a lot of input in terms of what goes on during the week and around strat and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's different here. It's probably a bit more play what you see. The guys have got a huge amount of passion and emotion invested into what they do and the region, and that just that's quite cool. And you see how invested they get into it. In terms of culturally, yeah, it's a different country. It's beautiful and around here down the southwest, the Pyrenees, yeah, I mean, it's been quite out of your comfort zone when you come and you don't really speak any French, and there's some guys that don't speak any English, and you're sort of chucked in the deep end. And yeah, but it's what life is, and putting in the out of your comfort zone and just sort of enjoying those little things.
Is it a massive, like, obviously you've captained All Blacks huge challenges, completely got stuck into. Are you finding this almost an even bigger challenge? The language barrier, different coaches, the sort of volatility that we all expect from French rugby. 1 minute to the next, you don't know where you are. Has that been a bigger challenge almost than captaining the big teams that you've been part of before, being part of this pro side that, like, it's been a tough season? Has this year been a real challenge mentally with COVID and also the rugby in the club? Has it been a battle?
Yeah, you're right. There's different challenges. It's quite funny. Even the end of last season, before the confinement happened, we were, I think we won our last game against Montpellier at home, and we'd had a few losses strung in a row, and Bender and I were celebrating like no tomorrow. Sorry, Ben Smith and I, and he said, "Oh, this is better than winning the World Cup," because we sort of had a bit of a laugh at how important it is to win at home, and it was quite a funny sort of relief, I guess, in some of that pressure, as you alluded to.
I don't think people understand. It's crazy. I don't think people understand the pressure that comes in top 14 rugby. And like, we compare it to what's going on in English football. They're looking for something to be ring fenced and to have no relegation and no promotion. But ultimately, it's that shit fight that people love. That's why top 14 rugby is so entertaining, because you've got all these teams in the south of France battling with each other, and that emotion that it gives both the players in the changing room. Like, I've been through it with Bayonne, and we got relegated, and it was heartbreaking. But then if you manage to scrape up and you stay up and you do it for your town, it's unbelievable. So I can only imagine what that night out was like when you achieved it. Tell us a bit more about the pressure. Like, obviously it's not, this season hasn't gone great. You're in the relegation battle. Is there a certain element, especially for Fish, like Paul Tito, his first job as head coach in top 14? It must be tough, like grafting each week and trying to pull yourselves through against loads of other teams in the same situation. There must be a lot of pressure. Is it quite tough to deal with?
Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of pressure. You alluded to the relegation, something we don't probably have experience with playing back home. And as you said, the Southwest is full of rugby teams. The culture and the towns and surrounding locals are all invested in their teams. And like even now, before we get on the bus and stuff, there's fans there just wanting to, I guess, be a part of it, and it's hard on them. And you do feel the passion that they have for the team, which is really, really cool. And as you said, you don't want to be in these bottom parts. And we've got five massive games to finish the season, so each one's really important.
And how is Big Fish getting on? Because I wanted to ask quickly before you jump in, Benji. I played against him. He used to be at Cardiff. I played back in the Pro 14 with Glasgow, played against him for years. Great guy, enjoyed a beer after the game every week as well. How is he getting on in his first role in top 14? Is he enjoying it being head coach at Po?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously missing his family, but he's enjoying the challenge of top 14. And I think his area around the set piece and the line out, he's really enjoying that, and had a really good influence on how we've been operating in general. The lineout's been really good in terms of performing in the top 14, and his best thing is his relationships with all the guys, the French guys, the foreigners, and as you sort of said, he's sort of come from that era of enjoying what you do, love what you do, celebrate the small stuff, but put your head down and work bloody hard. And he's done really well in a lot of those areas.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's done really well with also my mate Toma Domingo, who's,
okay.
To be honest, if there's one dude that I would have never seen to become coach as him, and he was my roomie in the French team. He was my roomie with Clermont. I absolutely adored this dude. He's a brother for me. But it really wasn't it. So that's why it really hit home when you were saying that they base everything. And that's why I think he fits well. And you'll tell me what you think about him as a coach in Po, because that's everything he believes in is what you said, celebrating the little things and the passion, the heart, the passion, just give everything for everything you've got around it. So just a word on Doming, who's like, who he always said you can tell him, he always said that his grandfather was a ninja. That's why he's got all those tats on him and this. But he's the shortest and the fattest ninja you've ever seen. But he's absolutely lovely bloke. I wish him all the best. And I think you've got, I don't know what his technique, his technicity or his technical ability, I don't know. But I know that you've definitely got a guy who's got a heart big like a truck there, who's ready to help you.
Yeah, he's obviously a French legend, and he's obviously held up the front row and French scrums for a long time. And I think the poor bugger can't really run anymore, so he's
Oh
had
my
to,
word.
he's
But
taken up CrossFit.
He had so what? Have you seen him do CrossFit, man?
Yeah, no,
Oh, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. He's the only CrossFit guy who doesn't bend his knees. So he's strong as can be. From his upper body strength is freakish. Like he was a tiny dude who would bench 180, 190 on a good day. Like he was really extraordinarily strong, but he can't squat for his life. His knees are basically crumbling from inside. He doesn't have any cartilage in either of them. And I think poor thing, he's gonna have like straight legs for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but he's doing well. His English has really come on, I think, with coaching with Paul Tito, because Paul's French isn't that great, and obviously Thomas' English isn't that good, but they've sort of somehow met in the middle. And I think there's a few times they look at each other, and but they seem to get on really, really well and complement each other.
Oh, just to finish on the high note, because you always said that obviously there's the pressure and stuff, but at the same time, le Stade du Hameau of the Section Paloise, when they sing, what is it, La Onada, before the games and on big wins and stuff, it's electric, right? It's special. So that passion is obviously can not serve you against Bayonne. I mean, to be honest, it was a pretty shit game for 70 minutes and you guys finished strong at the end. So that pressure can sort of get people to come into their shells a little bit. But when it's out, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. Like, fortunate enough to have a few games when the Hummos is full. And as you said, the singing is something quite different to what we experience at home. And it really does sort of give you a lift and make you want to really go out there and put your best foot forward. And obviously after a good win against Bayonne at home last week, just when that whistle went, you could sort of see the I guess flow of emotion from the guys. Just it's been hard and working really hard, and to get a great result was just just what we needed.
It was a crazy game as well. There were 39 penalties, 39 penalties. There were 5 cards, one of them red. Like, there can't be many games like that you can compare to in Super Rugby. Like, looking back at the game, what did you make? I know you'd be delighted with the win, but what do you take from it as a team? Are you just delighted to get through it, or what can you take?
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of adversity, and as you said, with penalties, I'm probably guilty there. I spent 10 minutes on the sideline, so not ideal for the team. But yeah, I mean, it's what was promising is, we sort of had to come back from, I think we're playing with 13 men there for a bit, and the way the guys pulled together, especially on defence, and then the bench were really good, and it wasn't probably until that last 10 minutes, as you said, that we just pulled away, because it was sort of tit for tat for a lot of that game.
And you mentioned it, Luke, 5 games left, last game of the season, Montpellier at home. So can you see it coming down to that? And if it does, do you know what's in store? Have people prepared you for the potential of I don't want to be doom and gloom, but an end of season playoff with the runner-up in Pro de Deux? Because that's something you won't have experienced anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, we're very aware of where we are on the table and what's left in the season. I guess having the overviews, we're aware of that, but we've sort of realised that we can't focus. It is the cliches. We can't focus too far in front. It's all about what we can do today in order to prepare ourselves and best for the next match, Stade Francais away, and just pushing all that energy into that, and then going from there. Yeah, obviously things can change quickly in 5 games, and hopefully we can take a bit of momentum from the weekend.
One boy that's going to help you, I think he's in Po now, but his family's there. Is he still in confinement? So you've got Elton Jantjies assigned from the South African franchise, the Lions. When does he get to hit the ground and start training with you? And when can he play? Would be obviously he's there as that recruitment effort for the last 4 or 5 games potentially, but when can he join you in training and when can he start playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a great to have Elton join the team. He, as far as I understand, he's arrived, but he's coming from South Africa, he's got to spend a bit of time in the hotel and isolate. And obviously, he's got other things like medicals and things to to pass, or as you'd know, there's a fair bit of that to go through before you even sort of get on the training field. So hopefully, I'm sure he's got a lot to bring and add to the group. So hopefully sooner than later. As you said, there's only a few games left.
Yeah, I think it's May the 8th, Johnny. So four games. So I don't know how many euros he's getting for 4 games, but good deal.
A lot of zeros. That's it. He's got 4 games. He's got Agen. So he'll miss Stade Francais this weekend, but then he can play against Agen away, Racing at home, La Rochelle away, and then the big one, Montpellier at home. So there's 4 games to crack it, really, and make sure you stay up.
Yeah, it is going to be intense. Yeah.
And so, mate, going back, obviously, I mentioned earlier I played with Adam. Was it when you came over and visited? I remember chatting to Sam as well at our training fields in Bayonne. Was it when you came over and visited Adam that you decided, and you had a look around and you saw Pau and you saw Bayonne? Was it then that you decided that you want to come and try France, or has it always been something you wanted to do, or was it more the fact Adam was here and you had a glimpse and you're like, this is for me? Like, what was it that made you have that itch and want to come over?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was pretty cool back then to come over and visit Adam in a lovely part of the world. I guess we were just sort of obviously trying to draw on the experience he's had, and yeah, I mean, we always sort of know that rugby is a short career, and always thought, there could be an opportunity to come over one day and play. I guess it was a little bit, wanted to do some other things before making that decision to come. But yeah, the timing and we thought the fit was right to come to Pau. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't until a few years after that, I guess, when we visited. But I know Adam really enjoyed the culture and you talk about the passion, the fans, and just a little bit of a different, quite refreshing coming from home. I think played 9 seasons of Super Rugby, and just thought a little change up would be good. So yeah, it's definitely been a change up, obviously all around the world. So just making the most of sort of every opportunity we get.
Johnny, have you got any stories on Adam? Because I mean, you were telling us he had an interesting nickname, didn't you?
Yes, you're talking about the culture, but he was the one bloke that absolutely threw himself. Like if there was a wine tasting, there was jambon de Bayonne to be tasted, or he was just there. If he was playing pétanque with old fellas, like him and his missus Tiff, they threw themselves into everything. But his nickname was Zeus, and he was really shy about coming forward and telling us how. So can you give us a little bit of why and how did he get the nickname Zeus?
Yeah, as you said, Adam's he's not afraid to I don't know, go around and immerse himself with everyone in the team. And as you said, if there's an opportunity to go see something or go experience something, he's sort of first to do it. And I could just imagine him. He wouldn't have been able to speak too much French, but he'd be in there trying and battling away. And everyone gets a little bit better after a couple of beers. And but in terms of his nickname, I guess he always tried to think of himself as the Greek god, and he's just the sort of guy, I guess, the ultimate sort of teammate. He's as you see him every day. He works bloody hard, and he's always there for a yarn. And yeah, I mean, he sort of then just picked it up, and the boys used to sort of call him Zeus, the sort of the ultimate sort of man as such. And I don't know if the boys chanted it too much for him, but he'd get out there and
yeah, they did. We did.
I was going to say that's a hell of a nickname. Did he give that nickname to himself, Luke? Or
yeah, he probably did, to be fair.
And we mentioned Adam, and Johnny mentioned that Sam went over to visit as well. You went over to visit. Have you put a word in with Sam? Does he fancy going over to France at some point?
Yeah, I would hope so. But I mean, I think he's currently signed to the next World Cup. But we're yeah, for sure. We're sort of, you probably want to come experience this, and there's sometimes some more things to rugby, and you only get a small window to potentially experience some of this. So yeah, I mean, we'll be in his ear, but he seems to be in the spot at the moment in terms of what's going on around the world, and got a young family, and I think hopefully he'll be around to play the World Cup. And shit, excuse my language, but it wouldn't be a better place to play than in France. You imagine that first game in Paris against the French. Yeah, I mean, it gives me sort of goosebumps thinking about it right now. Yeah.
Has he got your ticket sorted?
Yeah, there'll be probably a few. I'd say trying to get a hold of some tickets for that. Yeah.
Family first, though. You'll be top of the list. Don't worry.
Blood's thicker than water, we say. So yeah.
And more importantly, I think you've got another year on your contract at Po after this one. So hopefully we'll have fans back and you'll have a better year the next year than we've had the last year. But you fancy staying after that, or is it kind of wait and see and maybe head back home?
No, ideally we would like to stay. Obviously we've got a bit of time between now and then. I sort of feel like you sort of spend your first year here, you're battling away with the language, and it's not till you start to understand it, and then obviously your speaking comes a little bit after that, but then you really start to get those little things of what it is to be a professional footy player, and the jokes and just understanding the culture, and I think like the best part of the experience is yet to come. Definitely. Well, thanks ever so much for joining us, Luke, and massive good luck for the next 5 games, big ones. Yeah, cheers. Thank you. I've been a naughty boy 3 times this year, so I think I've got a week off, which is not ideal, but breaks me. But anyway, so I've got to live with that. You can go and play petanque with the old men of Po for a week, like your brother. Yeah. No, they're pretty good, the old Frenchies at that.
Or you can go have a crack, do a CrossFit session with Doming, because you'll fly through it, mate. There'll be no issue.
Or you can get on the beers with Fish. Get on the beers with Paul Tito. It's much better. Cheers, Luke. All of them. Cheers, mate. Cheers. Good luck, thanks. Mate. Good luck, buddy. Thanks, guys. See ya.